That's why Mike was sweating when I said, is it going to get better? And Mike's like, Ryan, you're teetering right on the edge of saying, you're teetering on the edge of saying if you're going to watch it again. Space Force had more cool actors than laughs.
Space Force was a little disappointing.
Space Force was NASA funny.
Great. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Falling Towers, Watch the First podcast in which we watch the first episode so you don't have to. And with us, as always, is Mr. Michael Kenyon Rosenberg.
Hey, everybody.
We're joined by actress and superstar Kellyanne Park.
Hi!
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we are reviewing Space Force, Episode 1. We always review Episode 1, right, and watch the first.
Yeah.
This one is called The Launch. What's it about, by the way?
So, 4-star General Mark Naird, leader of the newly created Space Force, is pressured to launch a satellite despite dire warnings from scientists. Space Force is a workplace comedy that centers on a group of people tasked with establishing the 6th branch of the United States Armed Forces, the United States Space Force.
Poignant.
That's the official summary.
Okay. So, by the way, I really like the backdrop, but I guess we'll talk about that in just a second, because that was one of the coolest parts I thought was when we actually saw that it was the base was nestled in Colorado somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So we like to start off with two quick things. By the way, we are celebrating 20 years of Falling Tower. For those of you at home, Mike and I started, thank you. We started Falling Tower when we were 1.5. So
yeah.
It was really, it's a good time.
Well, and this episode is probably going to be airing on June 1st, which is our 20-year anniversary of our very first show at the Cactus Club when we were a band. Yeah.
In downtown San Jose.
Yeah.
Kelly's like, I didn't sign up for this. I just want to talk about a funny
that's crazy. I didn't. Back in the day, first.
When we were toddlers, we used to play in a music band.
So also, very quickly, make sure that you like this video and subscribe. Hit the bell icon. Mike likes to say, what do you say? Twerk that bell icon?
Punch that bell icon in the face to knock it out.
Ooh. Anyway, so what we do say, though, at first is we want to know, Kelly and Michael and Ryan, that's me, before you watch Space Force, before anything happened, before you even hit play, what did you expect? We'll start with Michael. What did you expect?
I expected to have a hilarious workplace comedy. I mean, first of all, co-created by Greg Daniels, who brought us the American version of The Office. He helped to bring us Parks and Recreation. He created Upload on Amazon, which is not the funniest show, but we've talked about that one already. Right. And headed by Steve Carell, not to mention Lisa Kudrow. John Malkovich isn't really known for comedy, but there's just a ton of great Ben Schwartz, Jimmy O Yang. There's just a ton of great comedic talent in this show. And that's what I expected. I expected it to be hilarious.
What did you expect, Kelly? Before watching it, did you have any expectations at all?
Not really, but basically when I saw the screen, I was like, Space Force, and I was like, okay, Steve Carell, and like I said, loaded cast and crew, and I was like, okay, so again, if especially I thought for sure it was going to be like The Office meets, NASA or Space Station, The Office or something like that. Kind of, I guess, that kind of comedic funniness to it, or yeah.
Funitude.
What did you expect, Ryan?
Well, I guess I should have thought of that, huh?
See, that's what you do when you ask us a question.
I just go off into space. I should buy myself time and actually think about my answer, but I just think about other stuff. I'm like, oh, that's a fun answer. Well, I did to be honest, I guess I have the benefit of not really having a lot of expectations for anything ever in general. But like, I guess I didn't really go in with many expectations. I expected it to be funny. I thought that there may be, a little bit of political satire, and I thought that Steve Carell, it's kind of a born to do this role. I mean, this seems like it's right up his alley. I didn't expect the star-studded cast. I had no idea. I think I remember seeing Jane Lynch being in the trailer.
Warburton.
But I'm saying in the trailer, I only remember seeing her. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Jane Lynch is in this. But I didn't realize there were going to be so many. Anyway, so that's what I expected. Not much. And but here's the key. Here's the big twist of the day. That's what we expected. Upon watching it, Michael, what did you get?
I was let down. I didn't think it was as funny as it could have been, despite all this huge talent. Fred Willard was actually pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually pretty funny. Chris Gethard had a little appearance. He was the guy who played Eddie.
Oh, he was funny, yeah.
Yeah. So Fred Willard and Chris Gethard, I thought those were, very small parts, but those were probably the two funniest characters that were in this episode 1. Hopefully we'll get to see more of them in future episodes, and hopefully we'll get better laughs in future episodes. I feel like maybe they were trying to force it a little bit, force the laughs on us, and I want to talk a little bit about some other things that I think they'll feel a little flat too, but we'll see.
Kelly, what did you get?
Okay, so I was like, all right, here we go. I'm going to, be on this podcast thing. We're going to like the show. We're going to love it. And so when I watched it, it's kind of like the rocket ship, like, I won't give away the ending, but yeah. So anyways, it was okay. I definitely thought it wasn't the type of humor that I thought. That was a perfect way of saying it. It felt kind of forced.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, there was a couple really funny moments that I liked, especially like when like Steve Carell has his little outbursts and stuff like that. And they always have obviously really great comedic timing, but every time I like started to almost like it, then it kind of like, I would catch myself being like, anyways, so like I happened to click it once and pause to see how much time was left, and I was like, Kelly, and I was like, well, I don't know. So like it was okay. I'm definitely gonna still give it a chance, but kind of where I was at on that one.
Right. I have to confess, I checked the time too. And when it's a 30-minute show, that's bad news.
Right.
So I'll tell you what I got. Actually, that was what I was going to say. Well, my other option for the opening line was that Space Force gave me my first laugh at around the 18-minute mark.
Wow.
Oh no.
And I put it in my notes. I was like, hey, first laugh. And then when I checked the time, it was like at 20 minutes. So I was like, oh, it's a little minute ago. So maybe it was at 18 or 19. But the good news is, but then I thought I was going to be like, okay, there's one laugh in this whole show. The good news is I got like 4 or 5 laughs in the next few minutes. So there were a whole bunch, 4 or 5 in that little middle part, in the milieu. And then the end kind of fizzled out, I guess. But, at least we got a few laughs. And I made a note of every minor chuckle that I made, and it was easy to keep track of them all.
Wow, yeah.
Can you guess which ones they were, Michael?
I'm going to have to say Fred Willard for one, because he was great.
And rest in peace too, by the way, Mr. Fred Willard.
Right,
that was amazing.
We honor you, Mr. Willard, and just you could see, like, even this is like close to the end of his life, and from what I had read, this was his last filmed television appearance. So this is one of the last things that he filmed for television. Maybe he filmed something else for a movie or something like that.
You know how old was he?
86 or something.
Wow.
Ryan can do the math. 1933.
36.
86. Yeah.
36.
Uh,
born in 33.
Born in 33.
Yeah, so then he'd be 86 to 87. Right. Now.
80, I think he was 86 when he passed away. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't think that the jittering was him. I think that was his acting skills. Bringing
sure.
the jittering of the phone, and yeah, I mean, and just I went under the house. They didn't know that I did, but I went under the house.
That's what's cool. Well, that's the thing about this first episode is I think it was the writing that wasn't funny, because I feel like every time I gave any kind of chuckle, it was because of the performance.
Right.
For example, Fred Willard, the way he's acting, even when the other guy was talking on the phone, Fred Willard was just kind of be like, hamming it up for us to enjoy,
Yeah.
How do you feel about his performance, Kelly?
I thought that was one of my favorite parts. I'm calling again. She ran away again. Again, the other guy comes in. They can't keep track of them. And I thought it was really great. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was definitely one of the highlights for me. For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me tell you, just right off the bat, I'm going to tell you all of the parts that made me slightly, one actually kind of made me go like, huh, whereas the others gave me like a little, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing that gave me an actual chuckle was Steve Carell's line where and it was all in the delivery, I think, when he was talking to the high school kids, and he says, "So what's it going to be? You going to sit there like an idiot?" I don't know why that made me laugh. The way he said "like an idiot" gave me my first laugh. That was the 18-minute or whatever. And then there was again Steve Carell when he's late and he's running and he's just kind of like saluting. He's just kind of trying to run away and like salute as he goes. I thought that was funny. I don't know if it was on the page or if it was him. Probably on the page. Fred Willard was great.
Obviously, yeah.
One guy says, I don't remember. Oh, it was Steve Carell when the lady was like something about laser beams or something. He's like, I believe those are from Star Wars.
But if I had one.
That was funny. John Malkovich gave a funny delivery when he said, okay, when he asked the dude, any last name, Eddie? And he goes, none that I care to mention. He said, okay. The way he said it was funny. Maybe that's a few good things. The Miracle on Ice line was funny. It was funny. I think that was and not funny, but I liked the Russian guy. I thought the Russian guy was funny character.
I didn't think he was funny at all. I think you're right there, and I did not like his character just because I thought he was.
This is where Mike and I really get into it.
I thought he was forced. I mean, they're kind of like forcing him in. Oh, a Russian spy. Oh, ooh. or what? Who cares? Like what is that? What is this? Spies Like Us from 1980s?
Oh.
All right. Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd. Am I the only? All right, you guys, come on.
I mean, it sounds familiar. Did you ever see that, Kelly?
No.
I know that it exists. I've never seen it, though.
It's a funny movie. If we reviewed movies, I would say let's review that one. But
well, I got some bad news. I've blown my wad. Like, I literally just said all of the parts that, I'm done. So it's
okay.
That's it. It's up to you guys now to like. I was very happy to see Patrick Warburton because I love his delivery.
He was like the Marines general guy or whatever.
Here's a question for you guys. If you were in that room, because I thought that room was cool when they had all the branches of the military, which branch of the military would you guys want to be in charge of? I know.
See, I wanted to be the space. I like the space one. Like, this is totally up my alley. Like, I love, like, I don't know. I frequent, before all this COVID stuff, like, I frequented the Griffith Observatory, like, at least, like, once a month. Because cool kids go there. But anyways, yeah, so that was, like, totally what I would do. I guess otherwise was in the Navy. You're in charge of water.
Do you think you would be a good Space Force leader? Would you rule with an iron fist, or would you be a very understanding boss?
I'd probably be understanding, except for when they like blow something up and then we're like, oh, Kelly? I'm like, well, that didn't go as planned. Okay. So that would, I'd probably be nicer, but at the same time, everyone would be like, really? But I don't know. I would try. I'd make myself quite a good General Kelly.
I feel like, Gene Kelly. I was like, what does that remind me of? Gene Kelly. I could picture you with the hair in a bun. What about you, Michael? Would you go for the Navy, right?
I would dodge the draft up to Canada, so that's what I would do.
You wouldn't want to be in charge of Space Force?
I would be a draft dodger.
Well, I would be in charge of Space Force too. I think Kelly's totally on the mark there. I mean, that just sounds fun and cool and exciting, and then you feel like you're kind of in Star Trek,
I did like the line when the helicopter pilot was like giving her title, and he's like, "You're missing something." The whole spaceman first class, and so that kind of gave me a chuckle that they're called spacemen. Right. I guess in the Air Force they're called airmen or something like that.
Right, and that's what he said. He's like, I know, the airmen, that's spacemen, and then in the Navy they're called seamen. He didn't say that, but that line was obviously there for the taking had they written a better script. I was thinking
you could have been
there. Maybe it was a little too obvious, they decided, but
yeah. I mean, the spaceman was the joke in and of itself. It was good enough.
Right.
Yeah, so many people. Who played Eddie, Michael? You mentioned the guy, but
yeah,
I don't know.
His name is Chris Gethard. He's a stand-up comedian / podcaster / television host, and yeah.
That guy, right in the background, yeah.
Right, yeah.
He's funny. I liked him too. I wanted to see more of him.
Right.
There's a couple people I wanted to see more of, and I had a question. I do have a question actually. Why is Lisa Kudrow in prison? Why is the wife in prison?
That's a good question. They never answered that question for us.
I rewound it, and then, not rewound it. We don't have VHSs, but whatever. Anyways, but I went back and rewatched it because I was like, okay, was I not paying attention? And it has such good meat there. It got such good potential to be something really funny. I just thought they would have been
I think that's probably one of the problems with this first episode is I think they tried to pack too much in there. They tried to give us this teaser of Lisa Kudrow. What they wanted to do is they wanted to flex their star power. So they have Lisa Kudrow and they want to put her in jail, prison, or whatever, wherever she is. It looks like prison. But they're probably saving the reason why. They want to give that to us later. They want us to keep watching.
Oh, what a tease.
They wanted to tease us with that.
I felt like, come on, I was hoping she ran over a buffalo and killed someone on the way, or I don't know, something random.
Well, I agree. That's definitely a big thing that happened. She's just his wife at first. Okay, and then they moved to Colorado. All of a sudden, their kid turns into a rat. But their mom's in prison. What the heck? What the heck?
I don't know. I just felt like it could have been something. How is it in there? Oh, well, it's going pretty good. People forgive me for slaughtering 7 babies on the way because they look like they're whatever. That was
right.
Whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know. I guess it still could have had room to go somewhere, but like I said, I was kind of really hoping to be okay, why is she in prison? This looks hilarious, and then they kind of guillotine that one a little.
Yeah, they're definitely teasing it. They're definitely oh man, they're going to be so sucked in because they got to find. I mean, I'm assuming it must have something to do with his job. Maybe she breached security of Space Force, or maybe she yelled at a captain, or I think it's going to have something to do with the job and the fact that they're in a top secret base, and then when he went to go get gas and he was like, oh, you're going to the Space Force thing, and he's like, what Space Force? And he's like, sure, buddy, or whatever it was.
And then he kidnaps the guy.
I think it might have something to do with that.
Yeah, no, that's a great guess, I think. Yeah, probably. But yeah, I think there was a lot of people. Ben Schwartz Ben Schwartz was one. They didn't even really need to introduce his character. What did he do? He's like a social media guy. Like they just wanted to flex that they had him on the cast, but he wasn't even funny. Like none of his lines were even funny.
Well, should have saved it. I felt like saved it for the next episode.
Right.
It was funny when he was trying to send the tweet. When they took him away, he's like, Siri, send tweet.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that works. But that I feel the same way. I feel like they had a dozen people and they wanted to grab everybody in the first episode by showing how many cool people they have in it rather than just having a good script and introducing some in episode 2 and episode 3.
Right. Yeah.
I agree on that one. That's for sure. But
so my other complaint, I don't know if I should complain about it, but it's definitely a thing. And if you notice, let me try to find a good example of this. This is a good example right here. So
Dr. Chen.
So it's nothing to do with any of the characters. It's the way that it's shot. It's shot in like in a cinematic widescreen. I think they call it anamorphic. So if you look at Ryan's screen right now, Ryan's screen is like the regular full screen. That's like how, that's 16:9. That's what modern television is. But then what they shot it in, if you look at my screen now, it's got the bar at the top and the bottom. So basically, and this is a screenshot right from the episode. So it's squished a little bit, and so it's a half-hour comedy, and you're shooting it like it's a movie,
right?
And I think, and like subconsciously, I think that there's something there that tells us, oh, don't laugh at this. Take it more seriously.
Did you feel the same, Kelly?
Well, I guess what I was assuming was that they're trying to make, the only thing I could think of is they're trying to make it funny by having those like couple bars, to make it like whatever cinematic, like it's a big astronaut movie, Armageddon, that kind of thing, and then whatever. But again, I feel like it keeps like falling short just a little bit. It gets up there and then it kind of falls short. So like I said, I'm hoping the next couple episodes it'll like really start bringing up. But almost like for a 30-minute comedy, it didn't have very much speed to it. I felt like I said, I don't know, but yeah, that it just I guess the bars were okay. They weren't too bad for me. Like I didn't mind it, but I definitely noticed though. I was like, it's been a while. I was like, okay. I'm glad you pointed it out because
I didn't notice it until afterwards, until I took all the screenshots, and then I was like, wait a minute, this is like a cinematic aspect ratio. Why are they doing that? Like it doesn't and I think like I said, I think subconsciously there's something in our minds that tells us like, oh, maybe I should take this more seriously. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe it was like, yeah.
Michael, were you livid when you noticed that?
I was a little bit irked, I would say. I wouldn't say livid quite.
Hey, I'm wondering though, I told you earlier that I blew my wad on all the funny lines. What were the 2 funniest moments for each of you? Can you pinpoint 2 of the moments where you maybe laughed the hardest and like had to pause it because you were laughing so hard, or just that you appreciated the humor the most? We'll start with Michael because Kelly looks like she's still thinking about it.
I know.
I mean, I kind of blew my wad on that also. I already said it's Fred Willard and Chris Gethard. So Fred Willard more because he had first of all he had more screen time, I think, but he's just also just a veteran comedic actor too. Yeah.
You've always liked him.
I always have, yeah. I was in everything that he's ever done, and Chris Gethard, I actually really started getting into Gethard January of this year, actually, but I really enjoy him, and he's a veteran. I wouldn't say veteran, but he is a veteran improv actor as well. So He's done a lot of improv. He had a small part on The Office. He had a small part in Parks and Recreation, and obviously very small, but yeah, I mean, he nails it. I mean, he's got a couple lines, but he nails them, and those were the two parts that I thought were the funniest. Yeah.
What about you, Kelly? A couple moments that stood out to you as funny parts, or just memorable performances?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say my two favorite scenes, like, you know, sadly none of them had me on the floor laughing, but at the same time, like, I still laughed though a lot with the dad, with his dad, Steve Carell's dad. I thought that I just, like, it just that was, I thought that was great, because that reminds me of like my dad in 15 years, 20 years from now. So, and then the other one was I really liked this scene actually, where they were all the doctors were lined up, or the one that was in Michael's background or whatever. Yeah, that I really like. I thought it was kind of funny, like little subtle racist Mr. Chen. Oh, do you want me to pull out my samurai sword?
Yeah.
That, you know, and then they're like, so, you know, it's Dr. So, blah, blah, blah. And then there's you two, and then there's, what was the guy's name again?
You and Eddie.
Last name? Lynch. Like, I thought that scene, that one I did, like, definitely laugh out loud. I thought those are really good ones. And then I, at the very end, when he was like, you know, he was announcing to everybody, like, oh, well, you know, so we came from the United States, and, you know, Germany, or blah, 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 all these, he's naming all the different countries, and he goes, and former enemy Russia. And I was like, it just like silly stuff like that. I thought that was funny. Why do you have an umbrella? Like an umbrella, you want to check it? And then he goes, he's talking to the other guy, and he goes, well, I don't know, the guy with an umbrella, I don't think someone like with that mindset can work in a place like this, or something like that. I was like, oh. So I thought that was funny. But.
You know, speaking of Russia, there was actually something that the Russian spy guy did where I was like, oh, okay, kind of like him, was when, I don't remember what it was, but Steve Carell was kind of grilling him for an answer, and he goes, oh, breath mints, there they are. And then he walks off, like, just change the subject and run off. That was cute. It's starting to seem like maybe we all agree that maybe this wasn't the best show, or best first episode. I mean, it was not, I didn't expect much, but I feel like my feeling while I was watching it was disappointment. So whatever I did expect, I got less than that. I guess I expected a pleasant 30 minutes. I mean, it wasn't terrible. It was fine.
Well, there were some parts that made me smile. I will say that. Maybe those are like the two major parts that made me laugh. But like, there were some parts where I was like, oh, okay, all right, I can see that. Like when I guess they're like arguing over plastic button covers. He's like, $1,000 for plastic button covers,
right? And
then it cuts to the scene, and he puts his leg up on the table, and then he accidentally blows up the rocket.
To apologize for that.
Yeah. So that was all right. I mean, that was solid. And then I guess when he's gonna push the button to launch the rocket, and then it's like it's just like one of those like Staples easy buttons or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's not connected to anything.
That was easy.
Yeah. But I was a little confused because they keep talking about the launch, and then they go to, like, Steve Carell is like in a bunker watching a launch with some guy, and I thought that was the launch that they were talking about. And like the rocket blows up, the yellow jacket or whatever it was like a missile probably, I guess. You guys don't remember that part?
No, I remember it. It was just kind of bringing me up to my next question, which was, what were your least favorite parts? Was that your least favorite part? Just kind of the confusion of the what the hell was that moment?
Well, yeah, I mean, they kept building up the launch, and then even in the trailer, you see the launch exploding.
Right. Right. Remember that.
But actually, that scene was from the cutaway from when they're arguing about the plastic button covers.
Yeah.
And then later, so there's actually like 3 launches in this show. One is a cutaway from the past when they're arguing over the button covers, and one is the Yellow Jacket, and then one is the Epsilon 6, which is the real launch that they've been building up to. But it was a little weird and confusing that they had so many launches in this episode, which there was only supposed to be one launch, I guess. I don't know.
It gets confusing. Like, it's
right.
like, what?
Kelly, did you have a least favorite moment? Were there any moments where you were just especially disappointed, or you just thought that that's not the best?
Well, like I said, overall, I guess it was like overall disappointment was just I guess for me, I was confused about the flow of the show. Like, whenever, because I do on a side job, I like to do watch TV shows and movies or whatever for this company, and then we do a whole like review on it, and it says, how did you feel about the pace of the show? I just felt like the pace was confusing, whatever. But like I said before, my biggest disappointment was I really wanted just one funny joke on why is she in prison? I just want to know.
Right.
I don't think it should have to be a like, that kind of secret. I just don't think belongs in the pilot of the 30-minute comedy. Like, I don't think it makes me go like, ooh, I can't wait for the next show. It makes me go like, why do you even have this scene in here? What is this even? It just felt confusing, and I was I was pretty bummed. I was like, wait, what? I like went back just to watch it again, just to make sure I didn't miss it. And I was
that's a good point. I was just kind of picturing that would be a good first scene of the second episode. And then they explain what, like, everything's cool, it ends, and then boom, second episode, first scene, he's there talking with his wife, and we're like, oh, what the hell? And he's explaining about whatever just blew up or whatever didn't work, or no, that it did work.
Mm-hmm.
And then they talk about their situation, and then that adds a little bit more depth, and then they introduce a couple of the characters that they shouldn't have introduced in the first episode.
Well, then you've already got the final scene of the show, which makes you want to watch the next episode, because there's this rival satellite or spaceship or whatever that's like disabling the Epsilon 6. Let's see if I can point to it correctly. That's disabling. It's like cutting off the wings of the Epsilon 6. It's like, so that scene is enough to like make you want to watch the next episode.
Exactly.
Really good.
Right.
Yeah, I completely forgot my favorite scene. Favorite scene. I did roll over laughing once, and it was do Jamaica. Ooh, I want to take it. I did definitely like, he just out of nowhere just burst into song, and I was like, okay, that part definitely won me over.
It's a good song.
It was. It just came out of nowhere, and then it just stops. And that one was really flipping hilarious. I was like, nah. So I'll probably watch that scene again. I forgot to add that one.
Yeah, and just to finish off on kind of separating the episodes and all the characters, it almost seemed like they came out with this idea, Space Force, right? And everybody in Hollywood called and said, dude, I want to be a part of it. This sounds hilarious. It sounds great. I want to be a part of it. And so they're like, okay, well, okay, Patrick Warburton, we'll make you like this space Air Force guy. We'll give you a couple lines. And Eddie Izzard, or whatever the guy's name was you mentioned, Michael, that played Eddie, Gethard.
Chris Gethard, yeah.
He's like, we'll make you this homeless guy, or whatever the hell he was. Where did he come from? What was he even? Does anybody know?
Right.
Janitor?
Some kind of technician, probably.
Yeah. And then, so it almost seemed like they're just kind of like adding extra scenes for these people that when everybody called it, like Jane Lynch, obviously was necessary. John Malkovich, of course, a couple others. The assistant was kind of funny that he would say, by the way, what's his name?
Yeah, but that kind of got old pretty quick, though, too. It's like, well,
already in the first episode?
Yeah, wouldn't you know that there's somebody waiting wouldn't you know that your assistant is terrible and he's going to let anybody into your office? Like, I was expecting when he went in to do the Kokomo dance, I was expecting like somebody to be in there and like oh, sorry, somebody's in there. He told me not to tell you.
Sorry, the Beach Boys are in there, by the way.
Yeah, they told me not to tell you.
All right, great.
Yeah. So there were some cool things, though. I mean, obviously, it's kind of not really a science fiction show, even though it kind of is, like, because it's kind of like a modern day thing, but it's all kind of like space stuff. So, so I don't know what to think about that. But there is some cool stuff, like when he's driving and then like the mountain just kind of opens up for him.
Right, that was cool.
I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, yeah. Right, and then like you said, like the whole kind of Space Force city there in Colorado was kind of cool. Yeah, there was some cool stuff. It's cool stuff. I'm not necessarily funny, but it was cool.
Cool concepts. I like that kind of stuff for sure.
Right.
It definitely has a good idea to it, and I think that like I said, I'm still interested in watching a couple more episodes to see if it ends up.
We're not there yet.
Would you predict that it will get better or worse or stay the same based on that episode? Do you feel like it's just it was tough first episode, or do you feel like it's not going to get any better?
I'm hoping it will get better, but realistically, pessimistic Patty over here. I have a feeling it's going to probably plateau and be about the same, but you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot anyways and see.
We're not there yet.
Oh.
We talk about that at the end.
Oh.
That's why we start sweating. That's why Mike was sweating when I said, "Is it going to get better?" And Mike's like, "Ryan, you're teetering right on the edge of saying if you're going to watch it again." Do you think it's going to get better or stay the same, Mike?
I think it will get slightly better. I mean, like, honestly, it's like, yeah, I think it was just trying to stuff too much into this one episode. But I think after the first episode, though, now they're going to have some time to let it play out a little bit more. And I'm definitely intrigued. So we'll see what happens. But I think it's going to get a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I was close to saying something too, but I had to stop myself too.
Yeah.
Ryan, it's your fault.
Yeah. If I had to guess, I feel like it's going to be about the same or maybe slightly better because characters won't need introductions, I guess.
Right.
But I don't think there's going to be any significant improvement. I think it's going to be like this. I think people that say they really like it are going to be saying they really like it because they want to very much like it, whether because it's political satire and they're into that stuff, or whether it's because it's got a lot of awesome actors in it and they love, they want to support it. Whatever the reasoning is, I think people are going to want to like it more than they actually do like it. Because I wanted to like it.
I definitely wanted to like it.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to get too much better if I had to guess. I think it's just going to kind of...
Well, just based on the IMDb ratings, it does get slightly better.
We'll see. We'll see. Remember, a lot of people just watched the first episode, said it sucked, and didn't watch anymore. So the people that are voting on it kept watching it all the way through because maybe they liked it better. So who knows? Who knows how to figure out those statistics? Well, anyway, let's talk about you for a minute, Kelly, shall we?
Okay.
Kelly Ann Park, by the way.
Yep, that's my name.
So you are from Iowa, but what city in Iowa is what everybody keeps asking?
Yeah.
Oh, I am from Dubuque, so right on the border of Wisconsin and Illinois. I'm on the Mississippi River, and so like my downtown, there's two bridges. You can either bridge over to Wisconsin or you can bridge over to Illinois, East Dubuque.
But which bridge goes over troubled waters is my question.
Okay.
You don't want to go swimming in the Mississippi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, my friend did one. I mean, it was fine. I mean, you can, but one time my friend drank the water on accident and she was like sick for like 2 months. Anyways,
I do like the way you said Wisconsin, like a Wisconsinite.
The only word I can't get like off of my apparently Midwest accent, whatever. Most of it's gone since I've been in LA for 8 years, but I can't seem to figure out how to say Wisconsin without like saying like Wisconsin, like a man. Otherwise, it just comes out as Wisconsin.
Can you say it like a man, Michael?
Wisconsin. I guess not. Yeah.
Perfect. No, that was good. So Kelly, when did you move to LA, by the way, and why?
I moved to LA in 2012, so 8 years in February, and to the Hollywood dream. I want to be on the silver screen, woo, something like that. And so been out here, and but I love it. Like, much to my parents' dismay that I don't live in Iowa. It's been one heck of a ride, and I don't know. I love it. I joined the SAG-AFTRA in 2017. And so that opened a couple of doors for me. And then I just got represented right before all this COVID, I picked up a commercial agency with Lovestone Agency, and then theatrically with Pure Flare Agency. They're like a by Coastal. LA and then in Atlanta as well. So, and I was like, yeah, let's do this. 2020, and then 2020 is like,
nah.
So let me ask you: did you get started acting out in Iowa? How did you get started with all that?
Yeah. So I knew that I wanted to be an actor when I was like 7 or 8, and I started doing the plays and all that stuff. And I remember I told my dad when I was like 12. I told my parents, I said, I think I want to be an actor when I grow up. And my dad goes, "What are you gonna do? Move to Hollywood?"
Great idea.
I hadn't even thought of that. Thanks for letting me know.
So so I was in all the plays, musicals, and that stuff. High school, junior high. I love one of my favorite roles I was Babette in Beauty and the Beast. That was a fun one. And then went to college at University of Northern Iowa and started majoring in theater. And then my dad was like, "What are you gonna do with the theater major? Be an actor?" And I was like, yeah. So I changed it to a psychology major. But secretly I worked at the computer labs when I was in college, and I'd like secretly be on like the IMDb's and stuff, and like these little Hollywood agency showcase things, being like whatever. And then my friends would go by, "What are you doing, Kelly?" I'm like, nothing, just psychology in it. And then finally I was like, after college I was like, F it, I'm going to California. So came out. Actually, I lived in Texas for a year. Booked a music video and a short film, and then I lived there for a year with my sister and her husband, and then I moved out to LA. So,
how do you think that being a psychology major helped you as an actor? Do you feel like it gave you a better understanding of other people's minds or of your own mind, or do you feel like it did nothing but take time away from you?
Honestly, I am really happy that I ended up, because I'm interested in it anyways, so that was another reason why I ended up, going that route. But I definitely think so. I'm usually a pretty intuitive person, being able to like pick up on social cues and stuff like that with most people. But what I thought the psychology degree did was the really interesting classes were like the criminal psychology and things like that, when like understanding people's minds, like sociopaths and like people that do stuff that I'm like, why would you do that? And like kind of, so heaven forbid I ever play like, someone off the rocker, like it kind of, it makes like sense. So like whenever the couple times I have played a crazy person, like the biggest thing about being crazy is you don't think you're crazy.
Right. So, exactly.
That's why I'm crazy, because I'm like, everything's crazy, right? Because that means I'm normal. I'm normal. So, but so then I definitely, for sure, I'm happy. It was a little bit better than like, marine biology or something like that. No offense. go fish.
Do you ever get typecast as one particular role, or do you get a variety?
I get mainly, I mean, energetic. I'm like, why? But I mean, just kidding. But like, I get a prototype. Like, I get a lot of Zooey Deschanel, and like, it's Kel, or like, from like New Girl or whatever. But yeah,
you know that, right, Mike?
Yeah. WTF, New Girl. I haven't seen it.
Here's New Girl.
Oh, by the way, everybody in the comments below, if you want us to watch something, just say WTF New Girl or WTF Robotech. That means watch the first.
Yeah. WTF Space Force. Oh, we're doing that one right now. Sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, you were saying, Kelly?
Yeah. So I get that, and what else? Like, I like to do a lot of my ultimate goal would be to be on a sci-fi channel. Like,
nice.
I want to be like, that's my jam. I mean, I did do improv at UCB for the first level, and I liked it, but I didn't love it because I want to be an alien. If we're casting,
that's what I was going to ask you. As in a sci-fi movie, do you want to be the hero or the villain, or you want to be an alien?
Villain. I want to be the villain.
Okay.
Or like, but I want to be like the sidekick. Like, I would, like, a dream role also would have been like Willow on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like, I want to be the.
Brian knows who that is.
Yeah, WTF Buffy the Vampire guy.
Vampire Slayer. I will be tuning in on that one for sure.
WTF? Anything else? So you want to be an alien.
What about a monster? You're wearing a Dungeons and Dragons t-shirt, I see. So you could be
in that case, I'd rather be a bard. I'm usually, my last campaign, I was a half-elf bard.
Okay.
Now you're talking our language a little. Okay. Here we go. You're reeling us back in.
I had an audition for last spring, about a year ago. I had an audition for Dungeons and Dragons campaign that takes place on like some YouTube channel now. But everyone was super nice. But I definitely wore my LARPing costume.
You said you held an audition.
I went to an audition
for a Dungeons and Dragons campaign.
Yeah, it was for a campaign that they have it on. Shoot on a stick. It was. I'll have to look. I don't know.
That's okay.
Some other YouTube channel that we don't care about.
So you would actually be playing the character.
Yeah, you could. It's the dungeon master is the guy who puts it on. And then, you go with it. But like, I'm not that good at dungeon. Like, I mean, obviously, like, I can like role play all day long, but I'm not. I don't.
Michael, easy.
But like I'm not like with the spells and stuff like that. Like, I haven't really gotten super into. Usually people are like, Kelly, use your cantrip, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna use my cantrip. And I usually need a little nudge in the right direction, but...
Kelly, if you were the bard leader of a Dungeons & Dragons crew, what character would Michael and myself obviously be in your mind?
Like, if you were, like...
What race and class would we be, each of us?
I would say... I actually kind of like... orc. We need an orc. Like, we need.
Who's the orc?
We need someone who speaks. Because we need people who speak like different language. We need
Orcish
languages, Orcish or whatever. I already speak Common and a couple other.
I speak Tutankhamun.
And then, Michael, I'm gonna deem you orc probably. And then Ryan, I kind of want you as ranger.
Huh.
Pretty
accurate on both counts, or just one of them?
Yeah, just you. But what would be my class? Orc what? I guess you're kind of limited as an orc, right? You could be like a warrior, or like maybe a priest. I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean,
you need a healer.
Yeah, I was gonna say you need it. That's true. I need a healer. what's it? Blah 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 blah. Sorcerer. What's
Yeah.
the
Conjurer.
like the one the guy which is the one that they're super into like religion.
Paladin.
I think so. Yeah.
Cleric.
Cleric.
Bam. Bam.
Priest.
Yeah.
Priest.
So, like,
Priest, cleric.
call on the spirit of Saloon. You know.
Nice.
It's like I always say. It's like 9 of one, 3/4 of a dozen of another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
9 to 3.
What do you guys? What's your favorite? What's your favorite character? Do you guys or your, I guess, race?
Obviously, an orc cleric. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be like a human ranger. I think you nailed me.
That's just what I just like pegged you for, I suppose. But.
Yeah. And we pegged you as a like a half elf bard archer, probably.
Yeah, maybe like a little bit of an archer.
But then you actually like shoot flutes at people, so that when you get them in the windpipe, it's like as they die.
It's literally a windpipe.
Yeah, big wind. So just to finish this off, Kelly, because the second you said Dungeons and Dragons, sorry, a couple nerds took over.
Go on.
This show got taken over by nerds all of a sudden.
Sorry.
But I guess the question I had for you was, what was your dream role? But it seems like your dream role is just anything sci-fi, or I mean, are you also in? Would you want it to be like sci-fi comedy, or would you want to play like some masochist or some sadist killer lady?
Ooh, a little bit of both. As long as pretty much like if I get to wear anything in like my one half of the closet, which is all of my costumes, then I'm like golden. I'm pretty sure. Ooh, WTF calling it also Miracle Workers Dark Ages. You need to. It's so funny. It's season 2 of Miracle Workers. And anyways,
what's that on?
That's on TBS.
Okay.
So I don't know if you could find it like, you know, I actually just went on Amazon Prime and like rented it or something like that. But
it was just funny the way you started that, because you said, oh, pretty much any role, as long as I get to wear anything. And then you said like from my closet, or at first I thought you were just going to say, as long as I get to wear anything, I'm happy.
As long as I don't have to be naked, then I'm fine.
They put the couch cushion one, or what do they call it? What's that called? Couch.
Acting.
Casting couch?
Casting couch. Yeah, I mean, that one, that's so last year. Anyways, no, but half my closet has like all my like, you know, elf costumes and my barbarian, or, you know, that kind of stuff. My little princess. I have like 3 different poofy dresses like I've just been needing to wear. And so I usually wear them, like I said, if to like the Renaissance Fair. Rest in peace, Renaissance Fair 2020.
Oh, that should be happening right now. You're right.
It should be.
Nuts.
Technically, it would have been like the last weekend, but you know, it's fine. We actually ended up doing a Zoom meeting, me and a group of people, Renaissance Fair Zoom meeting. I dressed up. So, anyways, if I get to wear that, then that is my dream. Yep.
Are we hearing your puppy, or are we hearing?
Dang it! We did so good. He did so good for so long.
Very good dog.
Usually can't sit for very long without crying. So I thought he did pretty good. Give me just one moment.
He's doing great.
Yes. Hold on one moment.
Sure.
For the love of all that is holy.
So, Michael, in the meantime, tell me the character of Dungeons and Dragons that you would least want to be a part of.
A character that I would least want to be?
Yeah, like or I guess I should say a class or a race. That's enough. She's back.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I would want to be like human or what? I mean.
Yeah. So here we are, Kobold. Here we are. This is the big moment. Kelly, if you've seen the show, you know Mike is obsessed with calling this segment the Terrible Twos. He's always like, hey, when's it the Terrible Twos? Like in the first minute, he's always like, is it time for the Terrible Twos yet? And yes, Mike, it's time for the Terrible Twos, finally.
Finally.
So the Terrible Twos are these 2 questions.
2 terrible questions.
That we finish off on. Number 1, Kelly Ann Park from Dubuque, Iowa, next to Wisconsin. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give this first episode?
Testing. Launch it. 5. Just 5. It like wants to go. It didn't explode yet, so it's not a 0, but it's not a 10. 5.
That's great. That was kind of like a gladiator feel. Let him, but then you're like 5.
Let him 5.
You know.
What about you, Michael? Scale of 1 to 10.
5. I'll give it a 5.
Okay. I'll give it
a bold effort, but not quite.
I'll give it a 6 for the content. The content,
wow.
the fact that like, you know, it's an original idea. It had a couple cool concepts. You know, I guess I should say the concept rather than the content. It had a lot of great actors. You know, if it didn't have those actors, it'd be a lot worse. The jokes were like almost non-existent. At the first 15 minutes, I was like, were there even any jokes? I couldn't even tell if there were jokes.
There weren't.
Like, this is comedic, right? Like, this is a comedy, I thought. And maybe
yeah. So anyway, the second portion of the Terrible Twos, which is Mike's favorite of the two, he says it should be called the Terrible One and the Okay Two. No. So the other one is.
I don't remember ever saying any of those things, but that's
only.
You have a better memory than I do.
Only like twice. So the thing is that for the purposes of this podcast, we watched the first episode. We watched it because of this. Now that this podcast is over, Kellyanne Park,
Yes.
Would you watch the second of your own volition?
Yes, I would. I would give it 2 more episodes since it's only a half hour long. If by the 3rd episode it's like the first, I'm out. But I'm confident that it will just pick up. So, yes, I will give it go.
Wow. A vote of confidence. Michael, are we going to make it 2 for 2?
Simply because I know that Fred Willard is in the rest of the episodes of season 1, I definitely want to watch the rest of this first season. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, the first season.
Yeah.
Just to see his last hurrah.
I'm going to see it. I'm going to watch the whole season.
What about if Fred Willard were not in it?
I would say I would still watch it I would watch the second to give it a chance, just because there's so much talent in here, and I think it definitely has potential to do something. And we know from Star Trek: The Next Generation that not every first season is good. So,
right, yeah. So, yeah, that's the thing for me too. Is like the only reason I would continue watching it is because it has so much talent in there, and because even if it's not funny on the page, as evidenced by John Malkovich delivering lines in a way that were funny, even if the lines weren't funny. Steve Carell being funny, even if the line wasn't necessarily funny.
Right.
Patrick Warburton always being funny, even if he's just saying, "I'll have a Diet Pepsi." You're like, that's totally putty, you know, or that's Joe. But I don't think I'm going to watch the second. I think Michael, if you say, "Oh yeah, it's pretty good, it gets better," I might. But as it stands right now, the mystery of what happened at the very end was enough to make me consider it. I kind of looped up at the end there, but I was more thankful that it was over. And which is a horrible way to put it, but that's just the relief that I felt. It's minor relief. And so if I'm happy that it was over, that tells me I probably shouldn't take that happiness away from myself.
Yeah.
Well,
2 out of 3.
Yeah. So in closing, I'm going to say that this podcast, actually, let's start with Mike.
Oh, we're starting with me now, huh?
I don't know. Who do we usually start with?
I don't know. I think you usually start.
Oh,
you started off. So
okay. Well, let me think. Okay, so this podcast was a refreshing trip through Dungeons and Dragons. Michael?
This podcast was forceful and spacious.
Oh.
This podcast was squishy, scooshy, and lovely.
Good. You know, Mike, I like yours, but I would say this podcast was like the show. It was forced and spacey.
Ah.
It's like,
Forceful. Anyway, so everybody in the comments below, let us know what you think of Dubuque, Iowa. Let us know whatever show you want us to review. Say, you know, WTF Space Force, you know, yesterday. Or WTF, the new He-Man series that's coming out, where Teela's the main character. And this is Fallingtower, 20 years. Make sure to subscribe, hit the bell icon. As Mike says, use your bard bow to get that bell icon.
Right in the bullseye. And then also give us some likes.
Yeah, and tell your friends. Unless you don't like us, then whatever.
tell you.
So that's about it. Thanks so much, Miss Kellyanne Park, for joining us.
Thank you. This was so fun.
Oh, let's keep it going then. So next is Mike's like, fuck that. I'm tired of this one. No, but thanks very much for joining us. 20 years of Fallingtower. This is the Watch the First podcast, and we watch the first so that you don't have to. One of us came up with that. We kind of had like a conversation about it. I like it.
I like it.
Don't forget to watch the first of things.
That's a good one too.
Yeah.